Hey friends, welcome to today's video. I'm so excited about today's video. I was so inspired by one of my favorite makeup artists here on YouTube, Nikki LaRose. I was watching some of her videos and I stumbled across a recent video that she uploaded titled The Ultimate Guide for Non-Makeup Wearers. It's like a 47-minute video packed with tons of amazing tips and tricks from a makeup artist for beginners to makeup. And I thought, you know, I love just like sitting down and teaching makeup, and it's been a while since I've done a video like that. So thank you, Nikki. You inspired this video. I wanted to kind of curate a very simplified routine, a very simplified makeup routine. Not a ton of products, not a ton of brushes, but a complete look. So this could be for those of you that are just getting into makeup and don't really know where to start, or those of you that need, you know, a professional look for work or this or a certain event, but you don't typically wear a lot of makeup and you really want to get by on kind of the bare minimum. So this is a very simplified routine. So not only is this going to be product focused, it's also going to be loaded with tips and tricks. So this is kind of my version of Nikki's idea. So I'm going to link to her channel and that specific video down in my description box below. If you're not already following her, she is such a gem. She is a celebrity makeup artist based in LA, and she is an educator. Like, she's a creator, but she is an educator. You watch her videos and it's like going to makeup school. Thank you, Nikki, for giving me a little inspiration today. Let's go ahead and get started in today's video. So the first thing I want to talk about, a product that is really just an essential for all of us, regardless of how much makeup experience or makeup interest that you have. Everyone needs to be applying an SPF on their face before you go in and apply makeup. Now, when you are trying to get by with minimal makeup, I highly recommend grabbing an SPF that has a tint to it. I'm going to share the products that I have here that are some of my favorites, but I really want this to be focused on just the type of product, not necessarily feeling like you have to go out and buy everything that I'm sharing. I personally love the Elastin Hydra Tint. This is a tinted SPF of 36. I love this because it looks beautiful under every foundation I've ever worn it underneath. I wear this every day, but it also looks really beautiful by itself. It has a tint to it, so it's going to give a little bit of coverage. I hate to use the word coverage. It's actually not coverage, but it evens out the skin tone and makes your skin look flawless and beautiful. You obviously can still see your skin through it, so maybe I shouldn't say the word flawless because you can still see, you know, imperfections you might have, but evens everything out and makes your skin look really pretty. So if you prefer to skip a foundation one day, this alone is going to enhance your skin. Now, the reason I'm saying to do this is because I'm going to pair this with very, very minimal foundation today. So I'm relying on this and the tint to help my skin out a little bit. So I've already applied this. I wanted to share it though. Next, we're going to go in with concealer. And I really kind of debated on what type of concealer should really fit into this video. And ultimately, I decided on a concealer that I actually don't even use too much in my videos, but I use this every morning when I'm headed to the gym. This is the Benefit Boing. Did I say that wrong? It's such a strange word. Industrial Strength Concealer. It's in a little pot. I use this every morning when I go to the gym, you guys, because I apply it with my finger, making it so easy to apply. It takes no time. This is the shade number 2. It has a little bit of a peach tone to it, so it's gonna neutralize and cancel out any dark circles. I wanted to include this type of concealer in this video because you literally can just apply these with your fingertip. That's all you need. So it makes the makeup application really easy and really quick. So I just take a little bit. I also like this formula because it's pretty creamy and hydrating. Sometimes these concealers can be a little bit more on the dry side. This one has a nice creamy texture to it, yet it's not thick either. It doesn't move or migrate or settle into lines. It's a very nice, lightweight, but great coverage concealer. And you wanna obviously use this underneath the eyes, but you can also use it any part of the face that you feel like you might want a little extra coverage. So I am going to take a little bit of this and just put it around my nose. I tend to have a little bit of redness there. I think a lot of us do. When I was a working makeup artist, I would always add a little extra concealer around the nose because we tend to have redness, or maybe we have a little bit of thin veins there, so this can kind of cover that. And then I always have this little pink spot here on my nose I like to cover. So I'm just gonna use my finger to add a little extra coverage here. But you can see how quick and easy that application was. Now for today's video, I'm gonna skip an eye primer. So I'm actually gonna use this concealer as my eye primer. So I'm gonna apply this on my lid and take it up to my brow. This is going to give the eyeshadow something to adhere to. It's also gonna cancel out any discoloration on the eyelid. A lot of us can have slightly darker under eyes, but also darker eyelids. You can see a little bit more of the veins coming through the skin there, so concealing it just creates an even canvas. So now that we have the under eyes concealed, and we've also spot concealed a little bit on the face in areas that we needed it, and we had that tinted SPF, I don't really need a whole lot of foundation. I'm gonna recommend using a powder foundation, using it really lightly. My favorite is the Jane Iredale Mineral Pressed Powder Foundation. This is just my favorite powder foundation, period, because it doesn't really look like a powder foundation. Powder foundation is something that I wore a lot when I was a lot younger, but as I got older and my skin started having more texture and started to get a little bit more dry, I leaned more towards liquid or cream foundations. This has the look of a liquid or cream. It's really beautiful on the skin, and the brush that you use makes all the difference. So if you want to have more full coverage from a powder foundation, you're going to want to use a brush that's shorter or more dense, or even a sponge. A sponge will give full coverage. You could use something like this for more coverage. I don't want that much coverage. I want everything to look really light. This is with the idea of having a minimal makeup look, or if you never really wear makeup and you really aren't comfortable with a lot of makeup on the skin, but again, you need to do your makeup for an important meeting or an event or something like that. So in that case, I'm gonna reach for a fluffier brush. This brush has longer fibers that are fluffier, so it's gonna pick up less product and apply less product. This is the BK Beauty 104. I'm gonna use this brush and just kind of go straight into the product, and I'm gonna just lightly sweep the product onto the skin. The motion that you use is also gonna have an impact on how the product looks on your skin. So you can see I have light pressure and I'm just sweeping. This is not only applying less product because of the shape and size of the brush, but the way that I'm using the brush. If I were to press and pack it on like this, I'll get even more coverage. I still won't get full coverage because of the brush itself, but if I wanted extra coverage, I would press it like so. But I'm just kind of sweeping, because again, I just want real natural light coverage. Now I'm gonna show you, I haven't done the other side because I just wanna show you the difference in the two sides. So this is with a little sweep of powder foundation, and then this is with just my mineral SPF that has a tint in my concealer. So next we're gonna go in and even us out. This foundation just gives a really smooth, poreless, even finish to the skin. All right, so now I have a very light dusting of the mineral powder on. So you can see now the skin looks evened out. It looks flawless, it's smooth. The shine has pretty much cut down because this is a powder foundation. So next we're gonna go in and warm up the face with a bronzer. I'm working with a powder bronzer, and I chose this particular one from MAC. It's called Refined Golden because it's a very warm bronzer. When I say warm, it has a very kind of peachy, kind of orange warmth to it. The reason that I went with this is because in the event that you want to skip blush, or you really want to pare down your products, find a bronzer that has some warmth, because it can almost duplicate as a blush and look like more of a peachy kind of apricot-y blush on the cheeks. This has a little bit of shimmer, but it's not too shimmery. So it's going to give a little bit of highlight to the skin as well, but very subtle. It's not going to magnify texture or magnify pores. It's really just going to give some warmth to the skin and a slight glow. So it's just going to kind of give some life to the skin in one product. Sometimes we use bronzers and blush and then highlighters, and this essentially, if you had to just pare it down, could be that one for all three. And here's where you have a couple options. Just like the powder foundation, the brush that you use to apply this is going to make all of the difference. Now, I want to reach for the 104, which is the same brush that we used for the powder foundation. When I was planning this video, I grabbed the A507. This is an angled blush brush that's more dense. This is gonna pick up more product and apply more product. And I grabbed this one because my intention was to use it for the bronzer and also the blush that I'm about to go in with. It's really beautiful. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this one for the blush alone, and I'm just gonna use the 104 for the bronzer because I want this application to be real light and natural. So I'm just taking my brush, and I'm taking more of the tip of my brush. This is a large brush, but it has a slightly tapered tip, so you can really utilize that tip to create more precision. I mean, it's a large brush, so I hate to use the word precision. Precision gives me the idea that it's very precise. This is not very precise, but it will help control the area that you apply product by just using the tip versus using the whole brush. So I'm just using the tip, and I'm just gonna go and kind of sweep this onto the cheeks and back towards the hairline. And because I'm using light pressure, I'm probably gonna need to go in and build it a couple of times, which is totally fine. I come from the school of building and progressing up to your desired results with makeup rather than going in with a lot like off the bat and then having to blend that out. I think I've always had this approach to makeup. Even when I have a lot of products on the skin, I have a lot of little bitty layers. So in some ways it's a lot of makeup, like it's a lot of products, but it's not a lot of makeup in terms of it's not a lot of heavy layers. I've always had that approach in the way that I do makeup, and especially as I get older, when it comes to products that I put on the skin, I notice the heavier you layer, the more you magnify texture in the skin. I feel like I have pretty good skin, but when I have a lot of heavy makeup on, I look in the mirror and I notice texture that I don't even notice when I have no makeup on. That's the tricky part. When I used to do clients, they would always want to, like clients that had maybe a lot to cover, like maybe a lot of discoloration, but they also had texture that they were dealing with. So maybe they had a lot of redness, but they also had a lot of acne scars or just, you know, texture issues on the skin. Pigment will conceal, right? But when you apply a really heavy product, it can magnify texture. So it was all about finding the right combination of products and the right application method to get that coverage without magnifying the texture on the skin. So I'm really taking my time to sweep this onto the skin. And this is really different than I typically apply my makeup. If you watch my videos, usually when I apply bronzer, I take a brush and I just kind of, you know, bounce it on. But for this video, I really want to show how you can create a very, very natural, soft look to the skin with the brushes and the application that you use. And I'm just gonna sweep this onto my jawline just to kind of give a little bit of a shadow down there and, you know, give me a little more definition. Okay, so this is really, really nice. You can see the skin looks really natural, but I do have some warmth. I've kind of, not necessarily contoured, but by adding some color to the skin, aside from just the foundation, now I have more structure to the face. You can see my features a little bit more. You see my cheekbones a little bit more. You see my jawline a little bit more. I'm gonna go in and add blush. And for this video, I chose to work with this blush. This is from MAC. The shade is called So Natural Glow Play Blush. Now, this blush is a really interesting formula. It's not, I wouldn't describe it as really a cream, and I wouldn't describe it as a powder. It's almost like a cream to powder product. It's very, very sheer. Like it doesn't, when I swatch it, one, the color is really nice and natural and light. It's not a really like pop of color. It's very, very muted. But even the formula is very sheer. So you really have to like work in there to get a lot of product payoff, which is perfect. I know sometimes we want more product payoff, but in this application, this purpose, I want something more light and natural. So because this is a more sheer formula and a muted color, I need to use a brush that is going to pick up some product. I could use this for a powder blush. I'm actually gonna go in and use a brush that's more dense, and we're gonna go over to the A507, the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy. This is more of a dense brush. I also love the angle on it because it allows you to apply that product and really blend it out perfectly on the cheeks. So I'm gonna go right into this, and I'm putting some pressure on here. I really wanna pick up this product. And I'm gonna start kind of at the high point of my cheekbone and my cheek and apple of my cheek, and then I'm gonna sweep up. Blush placement is really important. As we age and our face shape changes a bit, you will find that the way you used to do your blush maybe 5 or 10 years ago doesn't quite have the same effect as it did. That's the case for me. I have a really round face and I've got really big cheeks, as you can see. And I used to always just pop it on my apple and blend down and back. Now what I do is I place it a little further back and I blend upward. Now what's beautiful about this particular formula is that it has a sheen. You can see that my cheek is just lighting up right there. It's giving a really beautiful glow, but the color is so muted and natural that it looks natural. It looks like it could be my skin. Okay, so let's talk about eye makeup. We're gonna keep it really simple, and I feel like I found the perfect product for those of you that don't really like to wear a lot of makeup or don't wanna deal with a lot of products. These little mini eyeshadow palettes from Jane Iredale are literally the perfect little everyday tiny little trio of shadows. You have in here a shimmer, which we're gonna use to highlight the lid. Then you have 2 matte shades that we're gonna use to define the crease, and we might even line with this deeper one. It's still pretty soft for eyeliner. We're gonna use this in a way to create some dimension on the eye. So whether you pick this one up or you're looking for something else at the drugstore or at your favorite retailer, what you wanna look for is a variety of shades. So you want a lighter one, you want one with a little shimmer, and you want one with a matte. You could even get by with just 2 shades. You don't need 3. So I'm gonna go in with the shimmer shade, and we're gonna pack this onto the lid. And I have one brush that is really what I always recommend to people when I just want one brush. I just want one brush. I don't do complicated eye makeup, and I just want one brush. I always recommend the 206 by BK Beauty, and this was actually created and designed in mind for that one and done. Let me show you the shape and how it works for everything. Okay, so this looks like a basic shader brush. Let me grab, do I have a 203 here? Okay, so this is our 203 right here, the smaller one. Now, the 203 right here, you can see it looks similar in shape to the 206, but it's smaller. It's more dense. The fibers don't have as much flexibility. So this is like your fingertip. This is really good at using the side and packing on color, right? But it's not so great at blending because it's just stiffer. There's not a whole lot of movement in the fibers. So the 206 has the same shape, so you can use the side of it just like you could the 203, but the fibers are longer and it's a bit fluffier and wider at the tip. So what that does is that allows you to then turn the brush and blend out into the crease. Now, this isn't gonna give you the same effect as you're gonna get from like a tapered crease brush, okay? You have to understand that this is really great for easy, quick, not a complicated look. If you're going in to create more of a complicated look with multiple shadows and more dimension, then you're gonna need some other brushes. But for this purpose, this one will get you through it. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna grab the side of the brush and I'm gonna load up this shimmery peach shade. I'm gonna tap it off because I'm sure I have a lot of excess powder on there. And then I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna just press that onto my eyelid. So you can see this is slightly lighter than my skin tone, which is what we want. We want it to be a little lighter and a little brighter. So the color alone is going to pop the eye, but also it having that shimmer, what shimmer does is it reflects light. So it gives the illusion that something is protruding or coming towards you. So for the lid, that's perfect. Matte shades recede light, so it creates the illusion of more definition, which is why it's great to use a matte shade in the crease. And deeper, darker shades do the same thing. So that's why you want to look for a deeper, darker shade than your natural skin tone that is matte. So when you combine those 2 techniques of a light shimmer on the lid and a deeper matte in the crease, what you're then creating is an eye that has a pop on the lid and more definition in the crease. So you're almost kind of faking that ideal eye shape. You can also use that same technique if you have larger eyes and you want to make them smaller. Avoid using a real shimmery light shadow all over because that's just going to make them look bigger. Use more matte shades on the lid, and vice versa. If you have really small eyes and you want to make them look larger, use a lighter shimmer shades. Okay, next we're going to go in with the middle shade to create some definition in the crease. So I'm using the same brush, but now what I'm doing is I'm using the tip of that brush and I'm just going to kind of create a little C motion and sweep back and forth into the crease. So this is giving me more of a crease and defining what I have. When I am working in the crease because of my eye shape, what I like to do is I like to look directly into the mirror and I like to place it in my crease and just slightly blend upward a little bit. What I want to do is create like this halo of shadow just above my crease. My crease is the starting point, but really that shadow is diffusing up. And the reason that I want to do that is because unless I'm walking around like this all day, if I just focus that in the crease, no one's really seeing it. When I'm talking to someone, this is what they see. So if it's just in the crease, they're not going to see it. You really want that to diffuse up. And it also lifts the eye. Now, another way you can use this brush, if you have a lot of lid space, like there's a lot of space from your lash line to your eyebrow, that's not the case for me, but if that's you, what you can do is instead of taking your brush like this, turn the brush so now that you have the widest part in your crease, and that's really going to expand the coverage area of this brush. Okay, So we are at a good point right here. I mean, we could really stop. There's really no need to go in and add another color to this look. We really could stop here. This is a very simple, pretty, polished look. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna stop here. I'm gonna go back and use this other shade for the sake of showing you and using it on camera, but I'm gonna use it once I have liner on. Now you can certainly skip eyeliner if you want. I do wanna show it in this video and recommend one of my favorite pencils, and it happens to be drugstore. I don't exactly know the cost of this, but if I had to guess, it'd be around $5. This is the NYX retractable eyeliner, and this is the shade Bronze. I love the color of this. I personally love a rich brown eyeliner on the upper lid versus black most times on most people. Not everybody. Some people can pull it off if you have really dark hair and strong features. Black looks gorgeous on you. For me, you know, with the lighter hair, the lighter eyes, the lighter skin, I just feel like black can look a little harsh sometimes. So for every day, I love this pencil. Now, I love this formula too because it's very creamy and it's very opaque. And the reason that's important with eyeliner is because it doesn't take a lot of effort to get it onto the skin, particularly on the eyes. If your pencil takes a lot of back and forth, that's going to be really irritating to the eye. And I find that the shape and the size of this tip is really easy to use. So I'm going to go in, and I always like to start at the outer corner of my eye and create my line there. The reason that I like to do that is because when we first go in and start with eyeliner or with shadow or wherever, you get more comfortable, especially with eyeliner. Let's be real. Lining the upper liner, sometimes it can be like, is this gonna look perfect or am I gonna mess up? Well, if you're gonna mess up, the best place to mess up is in the outer half because we typically have more space on that lid, so we can have a thicker line. We can smudge it out with shadow, or we can just kind of easily correct it. If we get too thick in the inner corner, especially if we have smaller eyes, it can just look really harsh. So I always like to start in the outer corner just so I can get real comfortable with my line, and then I kind of work my way in. Now, I personally love to do this technique where you can see I'm doing little sketches on my line. I'm not trying to go in and get a perfect line right off the bat. Like, I'm not trying to get this perfect and mastered in one attempt. That is a lot of pressure. I like to go in with little bitty sketches so that if I mess up, it's just in a small little area. Does that make sense? So what I love about this pencil too is you can do that. You can really have a soft pressure, but you're gonna get high impact from this product. You can see I'm not even having to secure my eyelid with my finger. Sometimes when we do this, you know, also I would not recommend doing this. Sometimes you might see me do that, but in most cases, when you do this and you create your line, when you let go of that skin, your liner is gonna look different, right? Because you applied it with this, you know, with your skin tight and taut like that. When you let it go, it's gonna have a different look to it. So if you can, avoid doing that or put light pressure. When I do put my finger here, it's very, very light pressure. I try not to manipulate the natural shape of my eye too much. Okay, so I've got my liner on. I am gonna go and line the lower lash line with this. Now, I like to start in the outer corner, and if I'm using a dark shade like this, I try not to take it too far. I really try and stop right there in the middle. That's gonna create a more open, rounder eye, which is what I want because my eyes are a little smaller and they're more almond shaped. Now, this is not necessarily something that everybody needs to do. If you have large, round eyes, you might want to elongate them or make them, you know, you might want to kind of balance that by doing a different technique, maybe winging it out or maybe going further in. But for me, I want a more round, open eye, so I'm gonna stop right there in the middle. Now, don't get too hung up on perfection with this liner. I'm gonna go in with the shadow and we're gonna just soften a little bit, and this is also a great time to correct any mistakes that we made. So I'm using a little tiny pencil brush. This is the BK Beauty 210, and it's a pencil brush with a small little pointed tip. So I'm gonna go in with this deepest shade right here, and I'm just gonna literally smoke this on the upper liner. This is just gonna give a softer look to it, a little bit of a smoky look. And this is gonna be where I kind of hold my lid a little bit, just so I can put this brush to work. So when you're doing this, this is also a great time to smooth anything out. So if your liner got a little uneven or a little chunky in some areas, this technique is when it's gonna smooth it all out and make that line look seamless and intentional. So on the lower lash, I'm gonna do the same thing. Now this shadow has a great purpose down here. This is dramatically gonna soften that liner so it's not so harsh. It's also gonna set the liner, and it's doing the same thing on the top as well, but on the bottom, it's particularly important to set that lower liner when you're working with a waxy pencil, because waxy pencils can heat up throughout the day. If you have oily skin, if you live in a hot climate, that can heat up the product, and then it'll kind of mix in with your concealer, and then you look in the mirror 5 hours into your day and you have raccoon eyes. Or you notice your liner is, you know, kind of fading and migrating down underneath your eye. So setting it with a powder, think of it like setting your foundation with a powder, setting your liquid or cream foundations with a setting powder. It's kind of the same idea. You're using a powder product to set a creamy product that keeps it in place. So eyes are done. Very simple, you guys. We are not walking into a room for our makeup to be noticed, but we're walking into a room for us to be noticed. This makeup really enhances your natural eye shape. It's using neutral, easy colors that can be paired with anything you're wearing in your, you know, outfit or whatever, or any eye color. I am going to always recommend that you curl your lashes. This is something that I do every day. This just makes such a difference. When your lashes are lifted and curled, it really opens up the eye. Now, I always wear a primer before I apply mascara. That's like just something I do every day, but I'm channeling into the non-makeup wearer, and you might not want to do that. So I searched and kind of pared down a mascara that I felt will give really beautiful, dramatic, natural looking results without the primer. And I landed on Bobbi Brown's Smoky Eye Mascara. I have a lot of favorite mascaras. This is true. It really depends on the current state of my lashes. Are my lashes really long, or are my lashes really thick or short? Like, what do I need? Lashes are on a 45 to 60 day growth cycle. So some months my lashes look full and long, and some months they have all shed and I'm waiting for the new growth to come in, and they don't. So my mascara needs change. But what I like about this mascara is it gives length and volume, and it gives a really beautiful fluttery look to the lashes. It looks natural. The lashes look like natural hair. You know, some mascaras that can be really dramatic, you know, you see these before and afters, or you see people applying them on a TikTok, and it's like, you know, they do 1 or 2 coats and whoa, their lashes are like up to here. But sometimes to me, they can look a little like, it looks like a lot of mascara. It looks clumpy, or it doesn't look like wispy, you know, and like actual lashes. It looks like crunchy almost. Hey, and I'm guilty of it too. I have some mascaras that do that, and I like that look sometimes. But for this look, I wanted a fluttery, natural looking lash. So this mascara does it for me. When you're applying mascara, the best way to get the most results from your mascara is to place your wand at the base of your lash and then kind of close your eye. Rest your eye onto that wand, wiggle the wand back and forth, and then pull up. Wiggle the wand back and forth and then pull up. What you're doing is you are getting as much of the mascara off the wand onto the very base of your lashes, and then you're pulling it through. What that's gonna do is it's one, gonna get more product on the lash, but two, it's also gonna deepen that lower lash line and make your lash line look thicker. It's also gonna enhance the eyeliner, and it's also going to kind of give a tight line look to the eye. Tight lining is when we take an eyeliner, a dark eyeliner, and we line underneath our lashes onto that water line of our eye, which can really, you know, enhance your lash line, and just, it really makes a difference. It seems like a very subtle extra tip, but it really makes a difference. But if we're non-makeup wearers, my guess is that we're not gonna jump into a technique like tight lining. So here's a little way you can cheat that. Wand underneath the lashes, wiggle it back and forth, and pull up. Look at that. I mean, just look at that lash. It's gorgeous. So when it comes to lips, I wanted to share like a one and done lip product. Again, if you are not someone that wears a lot of makeup, you probably don't wanna use a liner, a lipstick, and a gloss. So I wanted to find a lipstick formula that was very comfortable on the lips, so you didn't feel like you needed a gloss or an extra like balmy product on top. And I wanted to find a lipstick that had enough pigment and color to it to where you didn't need a lip liner and you would get full coverage on the lip. So I wanted a good pigment payoff, and I wanted something very comfortable. What I landed on was this lipstick from L'Oreal. This is the shade 112 Unending Kiss. I'm not exactly sure the formula name of this, but as everything, I will have everything linked in the description box below along with these shade names. So L'Oreal lipstick 112 Unending Kiss. It's just a really pretty, like everyday rosy color. It's like your lip color, but enhanced, a little more pink. It feels so good. Look at that pigment. You get so much pigment with just a couple of swipes. Even just one swipe, you get full pigment, but I'm gonna layer 2. It feels amazing on the lips. It feels like a lip treatment. It has a little bit of shine, but not a gloss, which is nice. So it's gonna have good wearability. I wouldn't necessarily call this an all-day wear lipstick, but it's gonna get you through until you eat lunch, or unless you're drinking a lot and you might need to reapply. But as far as like staying on the lips, just in everyday normal conversation, you can rely on it. So this is it, you guys. This is the finished look. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I hope that you picked up a tip or trick or two. If you did, will you let me know down below? I think some of my favorite feedback to receive is hearing that something that I shared in a video really helped you in your daily makeup routine. So please share the love. Also, if you have any tips or tricks that you want to share with the community, let us know down below. I always love when people engage and connect with other makeup enthusiasts. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you guys in my next one. Have a beautiful day. Bye.